Hello everybody, welcome to my presentation for Who Pooped in the Urinal, a rock opera by me, Richard Fukuda. So let's first get into it. What was the modus operandi for this project? Well, it was basically to create 16 tracks of original music in the style of a rock opera, create promotional material for it, and design everything that would go into it. So like a CD sleeve, the back of a CD sleeve, and those little bookcases that come into CDs. So first of all, what is a rock opera? Well, here are three pretty well-known rock operas. You've got Jesus Christ Superstar. Hi, I'm Jesus Christ Superstar. Pink Floyd's The Wall, and Tommy by The Who. So basically a rock opera is kind of like a concept album taken to the max, where the main focus is story and character and having a plot drive the music instead of the music be the center stage. This is usually done through narration in the lyrics and reuse of motifs in the music in order to give it a more Broadway and theatrical feel. However, I really didn't take a lot of inspiration from these three rock operas, but I did take huge inspiration from this rock opera right here. Act 1 by the Proto-Men. Here's Jesus. He's got the Proto-Man on his face because it's so good. This is basically the rock opera to end all rock operas. It is such a huge staple of the genre, and it showcases everything it has to offer. It's also about Mega Man, which is really cool. So what does the Proto-Men Act 1 do for most rock operas, and why does it represent them so well? Well, basically, here are the four main elements of the rock opera. First, your main character needs to be a little boy. It needs to be anarchist. It's really punk in a sort of way. A lot of it is about rebelling against the system. It's kind of pseudo-philosophical in a way. It tries to tackle a lot of topics, which ends up making most rock operas very pretentious and kind of stupid, but it's that sort of philosophical cheese that makes them very appealing to nerds like me. And then, of course, we have allusions to religion or God in a higher power. So when writing my script for the rock opera, I basically centered it around these four elements. So first of all, my main character for the rock opera was a little kid. Not a little kid, but he was a kid. He was fighting against a system, basically people on the moon who are fascists. It's philosophical in that it tackles the great debate of the man versus the people. And then it's also got an allusion to God in that it is literally about this little boy trying to find God so he can reset the entire universe and destroy the evil fascist leadership. So, of course, the first thing to work on with this project was the rock opera itself. So what I did was I played guitar on it, and I produced it, and I sang on it, much to the detriment of the music itself, and I used electronic drums, because trying to record actual drums is really stupid, and I don't have that many microphones, so I just used really fat, electronic, very apparently sequenced drums, and it gave this very over-the-top feel, and I just pushed them to the limits, you know, like 200 BPMs on these puppies, because machines are amazing and real drumming is overrated. So now, while most rock operas are usually hard rock, like stuff that Van Halen does, you know, like the I also tried to include some other genres, such as new age music. There's one track with free jazz. And then there's also one, like, 6-minute track that's literally just bongo fury of just... And I wanted all these genres because this album is going to be 16 tracks, and just a whole 16-track straight rock album is going to be really annoying and get really boring, so I decided to include these other genres to, you know, spice it up and keep the listeners interested. And basically what happened was it turned out to be a 1-hour-long musical project that took up a lot of my time and I hated working on, but you know what? The end results were alright. Let's get to the meat of my project, and that is filmmaking. And if I didn't include filmmaking as part of this project, as you can see, Mr. Taylor would have basically strangled me. It kind of looks like I'm enjoying it. Ooh. Strangulation. Anyway, what I decided to do was create a trailer of sorts for this rock opera, because I realized I didn't really have the entire story or the backstory of my world in the rock opera, so I decided to create a trailer that basically summed up the events leading up to the story, and this is how it turned out. Boop, boop, boop.
The year is 2000X. The planet is Earth. Squandering of Mother Nature's natural resources by megacorporations has left the planet barren and underpopulated, a wasteland filled with despair and peril around every corner. Out of the ashes of this feudal regression rose a figure of prominence, King Adrian, a noble and peaceful individual who would go on to reunite what was left of the dying civilizations into one unified society, the Pastime Conservatoids. However, this civilization was not the only remains of humanity, for on the moon there existed a completely different society, the future human leadership, consisting of pockets of rich bureaucrats so advanced and ecosystemically sound they were able to replicate the days of humanity long past, with one caveat, however, the introduction of a fascist leadership, masterminded by a cruel and oppressive individual, Imperator Septus. This difference in ideologies for humanity's progression would lead to a long-standing feud between the two factions, King Adrian considering the future human leadership fascist and elitist, and Imperator Septus considering the Pastime Conservatoids regressive and obsolete. For years, wars had been waged between the two planets in attempts to destroy one another for good. However, the sorry state of both rulers would ensure the fights would go on for possibly forever. Until one fateful day, when an incident so big and massive would leave everyone stunned and asking, who pooped in the urinal?
Alright, that was pretty epic. So, what was happening in that trailer? What was going on? Why did it look so friggin' cool, and why did it look like the best thing in the world? Well, it's because I used hand-drawn elements combined with textures I found on Flickr, and basically green screened in myself as well. So here are some of the hand-drawn elements. These were the first things I used in my artistic process because they would take the longest to make. And so what I did was I'd draw these, and then I'd scan these, and then I'd fill them in using the Paint Bucket tool on sketchpad.io. That's Pikachu holding guns. And so basically what I do was I'd fill in some of the backgrounds, such as this blank space here and this blank space here, with green, and then I would green screen it into my iMovie or Final Cut Pro X project and animate it with keyframes and do some light color grading, add some effects like smoke and light blurs and film grain, and basically what you get is the kind of stuff that you saw in the video. And also, as you can see, I inserted myself into the video, so you can see I'm right here dressed up as King Adrian, ruler of the Earth, and then Imperator Septus, ruler of the Moon and the future human leadership. And so you know how the routine goes, you key out the green and key out the green here, and what you get are these shots right here. This one's actually put on top of an art I did of a plateau. And of course I added visual effects like bad TV effects. Beautiful. Looks really terrible. Lots of fake lighting, and you can see there's some fake light particles right there, and it's really underexposed to show that he's the bad guy. And then we have this cool, neat heat effect that comes with Final Cut Pro X that makes everything look wavy and trippy and orange, and I really liked it. I think that really represented a ruined Earth. That's basically my entire video thingy. I hope you liked it. I hope you enjoyed it. If you want to listen to the rock opera, it's going to be up on Bandcamp in like a couple days. And so anyway, that's my Who Pooped in the Urinal presentation. Hopefully it was somewhat interesting and somewhat cohesive. It's basically 4 a.m. right now, and I'm really tired, and I'd like to get some sleep. I'd also like to play video games and ignore all of the work I have to do for my classes. So let's just end this video right here, alright? Bye! Thumbs up! Thumbs up! Thanks for watching!